الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين. Amma ba'd, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala tells us in His glorious book in Surah Al-Qasas, chapter 28, in the beginning of verse 57 that I've mentioned the past 2 weeks. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقالوا إن نتبع الهدى معك نتخطف من أرضنا. They, meaning Quraysh, say to the Prophet, if we were to follow true guidance with you, we would certainly be snatched away from our land. Now this verse is so important that we want to talk about it from different angles. And this is a statement that many people who fear that they may lose something if they follow the faith. If we follow Allah's commands, we may suffer some kind of a loss or some kind of a penalty. And it goes in the minds of a lot of people. And Allah refutes all of these thoughts that people may have. And I'm going to just take the responses that Allah responded to people who say that if we don't do the right thing, we're going to lose, we're going to suffer a loss. And Allah's response comes in the verses that follow. The first response is the continuation of the verse. Allah says, أَوَلَمْ نُمَكِّنْ لَهُمْ حَرَمًا آمِنًا يُجْبَى إِلَيْهِ ثَمَرَاتُ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ رِزْقًا مِنْ لَدُنَّا وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. And that is addressing Quraysh, but it should address everyone who thinks like them. Allah says, reminds them that you were in a state of shirk, and I made Mecca a sanctuary for you when you were in a state of shirk. Now that if you follow my prophet and believe, I'm going to make you suffer somehow? I mean, what kind of a logic is that? So Allah is reminding them that He made Mecca a sanctuary. All of the tribes around them were attacking each other, but nobody dared attack them. They lived in safety, they lived in prosperity, and that would not change if you decide to follow Allah's commands. The second response comes in verse 58. Allah says, وَكَمْ أَهْلَكْنَا مِنْ قَرْيَةٍ بَطِرَتْ مَعِيشَتَهَا فَتِلْكَ مَسَاكِنُهُمْ لَمْ تُسْكَنْ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا وَكُنَّا نَحْنُ الْوَارِثِينَ. Imagine how many societies we have destroyed that had been spoiled by their comfortable living. Those are their residents, never inhabited after them except passingly, and we alone were the successors. So this is the second response, that if you prefer your comfort, if you prefer your job, if you prefer your prosperity, then what? You're going to enjoy it for the rest of your life, and then what? Then death comes. And then you'll find out that power was temporary, wellness was temporary, health was temporary, dwellings were temporary, leadership was temporary, everything in this life was temporary. Is that what you want to sacrifice the hereafter for something that's temporary? So the third response comes in the next verse. وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ مُهْلِكَ الْقُرَى حَتَّى يَبْعَثَ فِي أُمِّهَا رَسُولًا يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِنَا وَمَا كُنَّا مُهْلِكِ الْقُرَى إِلَّا وَأَهْلُهَا ظَالِمُونَ. Your Lord would never destroy a society until He had sent to its capital a messenger, reciting our revelations to them. Nor would we ever destroy a society unless its people persisted in wrongdoing. So Allah, from His mercy, He would send a messenger to warn people that you are following the wrong path. He warns them before the destruction comes. And Allah is reminding Quraysh and reminding all of us that I've sent a messenger to you. Here's my messenger, Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Messenger with revelation from me. If you do not follow him, what is going to come next is destruction. You will, if you persist on fighting him, you will lose everything that you were fighting to protect in this life, and you will suffer dearly in this life and in the hereafter. So that's the option. Once the guidance comes, if you don't follow it, then watch for halak. And halak could be weakness, it come in many forms: tornadoes, earthquakes, wars, conflict. These are all halak. Doesn't mean just total destruction, but it could mean weakness, could mean trouble. So that's the third response. The fourth response Allah says, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَمَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَزِينَتُهَا وَمَا عِندَ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Whatever pleasure you have been given is no more than a fleeting enjoyment and adornment of this worldly life. But what is with Allah is far better and more lasting. Will you not then understand? So this is Allah is taking it from a different direction. Even if what you say is true, you follow the faith and you suffer some loss, what are you losing? Allah is min shay. Shay in Arabic language is used to refer to the smallest thing. It's the very smallest thing is called shay. And Allah say, min shay, whatever you have, even a part of that smallest thing in this life is nothing but mata' or zina. Anything that's the nature of this life. Mata' is something you enjoy, and zina is something you adorn so you can show off to other people. You eat the food, you buy a nice house, and then you show off people that instead of putting a $100 light bulb, you put a $5,000 chandelier. It's zina. The only purpose of it is to show off to other people that, look, I'm living the high life. That's the nature of this life. So what are you losing? Even if what you say is true and you lose, what are you losing? And Allah reminds them that what is with Allah, khayrun wa abqa. It's better in quality and more everlasting in duration. It's infinite. So even if you lose in this life, you're still the winner. Because if you think you won with Allah's disobedience, you've lost the hereafter. That's the biggest loss. So what is with Allah is khayrun wa abqa. Is better in quality and everlasting in duration. The fifth response. وَقِيلَ ادْعُوا شُرَكَاءَكُمْ فَدَعَوْهُمْ فَلَمْ يَسْتَجِيبُوا لَهُمْ وَرَأَوُا الْعَذَابَ لَوْ أَنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يَهْتَدُونَ. It will be said to the disbelievers, call upon your associate gods for help. So they will call them, but they will receive no response. And they will face the punishment wishing they had been rightly guided. So these are scenes from the day of judgment. That Allah is telling them, if you choose to obey others in the disobedience of Allah, you're raising them to the level of associate gods. Where are they? Can they help you on the day of judgment? Where are they? Call them. Call them, let them get you out of this predicament that you're in. And they will call them and nobody would answer because they're all in the same boat together. They're all weak and they all have lost. So do not, displease God to please anybody else. Because no matter who that anybody else is, whether it's your wife, whether it's your boss, whether it's whatever it is, whoever commands you to disobey Allah, you are ordered not to obey them. Because Allah comes first, then everybody else. Then the verses start mentioning day and night, and in verse 71, Allah says, قُلْ أَرَأَيْتُمْ إِنْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكُمُ اللَّيْلَ سَرْمَدًا إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ مَنْ إِلَهٌ غَيْرُ اللَّهِ يَأْتِيكُمْ بِضِيَاءٍ أَفَلَا تَسْمَعُونَ. Ask them, O Prophet, imagine if Allah were to make the night perpetual for you until the day of judgment, which God other than Allah would bring you sunlight? Will you then not listen? And the other verse goes the other way. If Allah would make the day 24 hours, who can bring you night that you can rest in? Night and day, signifies the motion of the earth. It's Allah's perfect design. That if the earth did not move, it did not rotate, and rotate the way it does, you will not have day and night, you will not have the seasons, you will not have summer and winter. The side that faces the sun would be 200 plus degrees, you can't live on it. And the one away from the sun is 0 degree Kelvin. No life can persist. So Allah is reminding them that He has this perfect creation of night and day. So one may ask, what is the relation of this verse to the statement that they made that وَقَالُوا إِن نَتَّبِعِ الْهُدَى مَعَكَ نُتَخَطَّفْ مِنْ أَرْضِنَا. If we follow the guidance with you, we may lose. What's the relation? The relation is the person who knows Allah through His creation, when you recognize Allah's power and Allah's beautiful names, you will not make a statement like that. You will not think for a second that you will lose with following Allah or gain by disobeying Him. So it is very important to know Allah. Before you obey Him, you have to know who it is that you're worshiping. And knowledge of Allah is critical. And it could be done through contemplation of the universe. I mean, you look, anything around you has a sign that it has a perfect creator. Whether you look at yourself, you look at your children, you look at the trees, whatever it is that you look, Allah put signs in it. And that's its role. The universe, as-samawat wal-ard, the whole universe, the whole role behind it is to introduce you to Allah's beautiful names. Because you can see all of them if you contemplate. Now, all of these verses are mentioned in Surah Al-Qasas. And Qasas comes from qassa. And that verb means chasing details, like following the trail until the goal is achieved. That's why a story is called qissa, because it has a beginning, it has a plot, and it has an end. It takes you through it to get you to a certain, conclusion or a certain thing. That's why the story, if you look at the chapter, it's two big stories. It's a story about Sayyidina Musa and Fir'aun, and it details the life of when Sayyidina Musa was born and how Pharaoh was trying to kill all the children of Bani Israel until, Pharaoh is drowned. And then the second story is the story of Qarun, who was very wealthy, and he used, so both of these, Fir'aun and Qarun, they represent the corruption of power and the corruption of wealth. And that's where corruption comes from. And Allah gave us a lot of details, not for entertainment, not for historical purposes, but as an educational tool that says, see, here's what they did. Pharaoh wanted to save his kingdom because somebody told him that one of the children of Bani Israel is going to end his reign. So he killed all of the male children of Bani Israel. But the one who ended it, he raised it in his own house, in his palace. So why does Allah give us all of this detail? He gave us all of this detail to arrive at the single truth. La ilaha illallah. There is only one God in this existence. It does not matter what other people want, it's what Allah wants. Same thing with Surah Sayyidina Yusuf. Wallahu ghalibun ala amri. That's the summary of this whole story of Sayyidina Yusuf. His brothers wanted to get rid of him and he became Aziz Masr. What Allah destined is what happens. There is only one actor in this existence, and it is Allah. So when you follow His orders, you do not lose. There may be difficulties, yes, but loss, no. Even if you lose your life for Allah, now you have infinity, forever to enjoy what Allah has in store for you. So who is the loser and who is the winner? So we have to know who it is that we worship. Because when we know who Allah is, we will not make the statement that I fear some kind of a loss if I follow the faith. If people knew I was a Muslim. No. Let them know you are a Muslim. Show them with action what a Muslim does. They will love you and they will love Islam. And vice versa. If you misrepresent Islam, especially in this country, they're not going to look at you and say you're a bad person. They're going to say Islam is a bad religion. They will automatically go to your faith, not to your person. So we have a dual duty in this environment. We have to be representatives of what Islam and Muslims should be. Because our fault is double if we don't give the right image. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لكم فاستغفروه إنه الغفور الرحيم.